Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Gala. My name is Chuck Henderson, and I am president of the board of the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy. I am coming to you from the living room of the Walker House in Carmel by the Sea, where the sun is just now setting. Headed back to Japan after that wonderful event we just had. Now, traditionally, the auction and the gala are the closing events of our conference. This year, we're combining them into one special evening. The Wright Spirit Award winners will be feted, and the auction items will be highlighted for your bidding pleasure. First, some thank yous are in order. A very special thank you goes to all the homeowners and public sites who participated in our conference this week. Your participation and generosity in opening your buildings enables us to make these conferences so meaningful. We are also enormously grateful this week to our speakers who added so much to our knowledge of Wright and his work. Your experiences and information enriched all of us. I'd like to thank our virtual conference committee headed by Tim Quigley. This conference was one of the many completely new events that we've been able to deliver to our constituency this year. Speaking of that, a huge thank you must go to the Conservancy staff. They created this event from scratch and did an amazing job. Barbara, John, Eric, and Kara, you are a great team, and we are indebted to you for this wonderful conference. I would like also to recognize and thank all of our sponsors for this week. Tuani Property Management, the presenting sponsor. Major partner, Safina Uberoy and Rufus Rucker. Conference partner, Kelly Jones. Sponsors, George Meyer and S.C. Johnson. Session sponsor for the Prairie House for the 21st Century, Indo Windows. Supporters, Anonymous, Architectural Resources Group, Berglund Construction, CYLA Design Associates, Landscape Architecture and Planning, Heritage Tile, Kubala Washatko Architects, and Westcott House. And finally, for the Wright Spirit Awards tonight, underwritten by Ron and Jan Scherubel. Thank you all for making this event possible. So tonight, I am joined by my fellow board member and homeowner of the Tonkens House in Cincinnati, Ohio, Safina Uberoy. I have to say, Safina, that you gave us another amazing story this morning. I just can't believe that you and Lucas have done all that for your house.
I think.
Now, before we proceed, I want to encourage everybody to pour a libation of your choice and enjoy the evening. In honor of Larry Wooden, I have my dry martini. Now, Safina is the chair of our auction committee and will now tell us about our auction tonight.
Can you check on the checklists?
Hello, well, here we are at our house. But before you know how we got here to welcome you to the gala, we do have a little video for you. Allison, could you play video? Welcome to the Tonkens House, where we are holding the live auction, the gala night for the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy. Welcome. So for those of you who saw the tour this morning, saw the talk this morning, you know that we just finished phase one. There was a great big barn over the house. It's been removed because we now have a working roof. And we are now in phase two in the interiors. And what better way to inaugurate that than having the live auction right here in the Tonkens House.
So before we go, my love, though, I think the people would be interested in having a quick fly through a Frank Lloyd Wright house in the midst of restoration. Everything is as it's been worked on as we speak, except for the fact we cleaned up a little bit. But it will still give you an idea of what it's like on the inside.
Quick. You have to be quick because we've got to get to the auction.
Follow me around.
Into the private space.
This used to be a very narrow hallway. Now with the cabinets removed, it's actually quite spacious. You might get used to that.
Look, two at a time instead of just very squishy one person. Tiny little bathrooms as always.
And now here is our first bedroom. It's now our working area. You have our plans here, our drawings here, and it's usually very, very busy as we continue the work on the house. It's also our dream chamber. One of the things we wanted to do, if you listen to Safina's talk this morning, is complete the design by Lloyd Wright. There were large portions that were never built. I built a little bit of a model to help us visualize what it is that we're striving towards. So maybe 2 years, 3 years from now, when you come visit, this is what you might see.
And this model is not just to scale, it's to block, because my engineer husband, of course, had to build it with Lego per block. Every block is corrected in place. Crazy.
Engineering. Follow us along. This is the second bedroom, and where we're going to start our restoration work. We're going to redo the flooring. We're going to have to work on the walls and the woodwork. We're going to redo all the windows to make sure that they are UV resistant and protective, and obviously also fix the gilded ceiling. So
And
lots of little work.
Lucas has actually been learning how to gild the ceilings. It's incredible, really detailed. And now, the very tiny master bedroom.
It might feel strange with our bed in it, but this is where the bed is. Usually it fills the majority of the space. We already removed some of the closets and tables here. Again, getting ready for further restoration work. But this is where you usually sleep.
Yeah, well, usually meaning a long time ago. but if you do come for our restoration tour, which is also on auction, we would be showing you by that stage maybe finished carpentry. And into the study, which used to be my favorite room, when there was actually, doors here, you could look out into the garden. It was absolutely gorgeous. But Lucas, time. It's time for that auction. Time to fly through. Now we must remember, the auction is going to end when?
The auction, my dear, ends at 9 o'clock. So 9:01, all the wonderful things you could be getting and how you could be donating to Conservancy will be gone. Poof. So make your bids before 9 o'clock. And then, of course, at 8 o'clock is the raffle drawing. If you haven't gotten your raffle ticket yet, get one, because the prizes are awesome. Right, Safina?
Prizes are awesome. Most importantly, you get a ticket to the next in-person Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy Conference, which we hope will be in Buffalo next year. And in more glamorous surrounds, we'll be able to have our gala evenings. But for now, we're still in our construction site. We do the traditional compress. This is how the route I took when we first came to the house. And I came around here, and my husband came around that way. And I begged him, darling, can we please have this place?
And that's how you end up in servitude. Financial ruin, disaster, incredible agony, pain, suffering. But also wonderful friends, incredibly exhilarating moments, and the knowledge that you're going to help retain and maintain one of the most beautiful buildings.
So, to help retain these buildings, get on your phone. It's time to bid. Go on to BidPal, go on to our websites. They make it very easy for you because they want you to open up your wallet and bid. I think it's time to. We've got hardly any time.
You have to get dressed.
Got to get dressed super fast. Over to you, Barbara.
I hope you're all enjoying that with me tonight. Hi, everyone. It is my pleasure to present the 2020 Wright Spirit Awards, which have been generously underwritten by Ron and Jan Scherubel. Ron was the longtime former executive director of the Conservancy and is a longtime board member. We just voted him in again on Thursday. And the Wright Spirit Awards, which we have hosted since 1991, recognize owners and stewards of Wright buildings and others who have demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to preserving and restoring the remaining built works designed by Frank Lloyd Wright and enhancing appreciation of Wright's legacy. Tonight, we will show you a little video clip about each winner and honor our recipients. So without further ado, let me start with our first category, the private category, which honors Wright homeowners who have rescued a building or have demonstrated outstanding stewardship in its conservation.
Welcome to the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy's 2020 Wright Spirit Awards ceremony. Introduced in 1991, the Wright Spirit Award recognizes extraordinary individuals and organizations that have preserved the legacy of Frank Lloyd Wright through their tireless dedication and persistent efforts. It is the highest accolade bestowed by the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy, whose mission is to facilitate the preservation and stewardship of the remaining built works designed by Frank Lloyd Wright through advocacy, education, and technical services. The award in the private category honors owners of Wright-designed houses who have rescued a building or have demonstrated outstanding stewardship in its conservation. David and Joyce McCardle are recognized for the restoration of Wright's Frederick House in Barrington, Illinois. Dave and Joyce McCardle began their shared experience of Wright's work on their first dates, walking around Oak Park in Chicago. In 1988, they acted on their passion for Wright by purchasing and restoring the 1901 Henderson House in Elmhurst, Illinois. While living in the Henderson House, the McCardles participated in the founding of the Conservancy as the lawyers who formally incorporated the organization as a non-profit corporation. In 2016, they took on their most recent project, the restoration of the Frederick House. The house was designed for Louis and Margaret Frederick in 1955, and the McCardles are only its third owners. Sited on 10 acres near the highest point in Barrington, Wright characteristically located the house to be slightly below that high point. The house contains a central living, dining, kitchen mass, with bedrooms and playroom wings emanating from the entry hall. Working with their restoration team, which included architect John Eifler and preservation craftsman Jonathan Leck, the McCardles' comprehensive restoration of the house included on the exterior, reconstructing deteriorated masonry and refinishing exterior wood, adding steel support for the sagging cantilever roof, and the installation of new shingles consistent with the original pattern. The site was landscaped using native plantings, and the entry gate, designed by Wright, was constructed. On the interior, concrete floors were refurbished, Philippine mahogany was refinished, and brickwork was restored. A new geothermal heating and cooling system was installed, and radiant heating was replaced in the master and guest bedroom. Several Wright-designed furniture pieces were also fabricated. From furniture to finishes, and building structure to mechanical infrastructure, Dave and Joyce McCardle's restoration of the Frederick House has given it new life and clearly embodies the Wright spirit. Michael Pincus and Julie Wilsker are recognized for the restoration of the Sirlin House and for leadership in the stewardship of the Usonia landscape. While renting a modernist house in Westchester County, New York, Michael Pincus and Julie Wilsker became fast friends with their next-door neighbors, renowned architectural photographer Ezra Stoller and his wife Helen. As Michael and Julie pondered a more permanent residence, Ezra recommended Wright-designed Usonia, about 30 miles northeast of New York City. Julie and Michael were smitten with the community and fell in love with the Sirlin House, then on the market. Just before their wedding day, they submitted a bid along with an impassioned letter of love for the house. Though they submitted the low bid, the evening before their wedding, the owner called to say that the house was theirs. Their first winter in the house revealed deferred maintenance in several areas. They upgraded the heating system and designed a window treatment that preserved the single-pane fenestration. In 1995, architect Tobias Guggenheimer was retained to oversee the restoration of the house. Steel and wood reinforced overhang areas, tapered insulation, and other components were configured to work in conjunction with in-ground drainage for water management. Masonry was repointed, and Tidewater red cypress was sourced to replace damaged wood. For a previous owner, Usonia architect Aaron Resnick had designed a screened-in addition to the east end of the house, and this was converted into livable interior space. While Julie was working, she spent the weekends taking on the neglected and overgrown landscaping. A chainsaw and calloused hands restored much of the original garden. In Julie's retirement, daily treks in the local woodlands led to a deep understanding of the forest ecosystem. She decided to approach the Usonian community with a proposal to manage the removal of invasive species throughout its 100 acres. She has worked with forestry professionals, applied for and received grants, and managed crews to remove thousands of invasive species. This has allowed indigenous plants to reestablish themselves and to restore the native ecosystem. Great progress continues, and many Usonia members have been inspired to organically manage their properties, resulting in a seamless community landscape. Julie and Michael count themselves fortunate for the opportunity to be stewards of this wonderful property and are committed to passing Wright's legacy to future generations to enjoy and embrace. Susan and Jack Turbin are recognized for the stewardship and succession planning of the Staley House. Since purchasing the 1951 Staley House in North Madison, Ohio in 1983, Susan and Jack Turbin have acted as exemplary stewards. Along with meticulous care of the house, which they bought directly from the Staleys, they have strengthened its connection to its site, protected the property with a preservation easement, and further ensured the house's future through its donation to a responsible steward. The Staley House sits on 4 acres fronting Lake Erie. In 2013, the Turbins purchased an approximately 2-acre section of property between the lake and the house, demolishing a structure that had been built in the Staley viewshed. In doing this, they restored an important visual link between the house and the lake, a connection that is experienced throughout the one-room-deep house. The house's small size on prime lakefront property would make it particularly vulnerable to demolition. As a result of discussions with the Conservancy in 2014, the Turbins donated a preservation easement on the house that covers the house and all its Wright-designed furniture. After consulting with their family, the Turbins decided to donate the property to University School near Cleveland, retaining a life interest. The Turbins and the school's administration have worked together to plan a future for the house as a vital tool for teaching about architecture in general and Wright in particular. As the Conservancy focuses on thoughtful succession planning as a key tool for preserving Wright's legacy, the Turbins' stewardship serves as an ideal model.
Can you get off the internet? ?
Hi, Barbara. I don't know if Barbara can hear me, but I do want to, this is Dave McCardle. Certainly, we want to thank the Conservancy for this recognition. It is an honor. Joyce and I are big believers in the Conservancy's mission. It's so important to have the support and resources of the Conservancy when undertaking renovations of these magnificent homes. Tonight, though, I did want to give special thanks to the team that was involved in the restoration. Their passion and pride in their work made this restoration such a success. I would like to thank Eifler and Associates, John Eifler, Virginia Eby, for their vision and detailed documentation which were essential to the project. In addition, John Leck, who was the master carpenter and restoration foreman, who brought such passion to his work, essentially living at the home during the renovation to ensure things were done right, for Wright. Distinctive woodwork for their great job in reproducing the furniture Wright had designed for the home and matching new cabinets to blend in with the existing cabinets. James Matson of Fillmore and Associates for the painstaking restoration of the wood finishes throughout the house. Bill Lakovic, my construction manager, for his general oversight of the whole project. And to everyone else who was part of our team. I forgot to mention a lot of people, but everybody was very important. Thank you. Finally, I want to thank Joyce, my wife, who's been my partner and best friend for over 40 years. Without her shared passion for architecture and preservation, this renovation would not have been possible. It has been special to be able to share our like passions. I want to thank everyone for this recognition. Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome. Dave, you and I met about a month ago. We came up to see the house, and it was absolutely beautiful. And how does it feel to have your accomplishments recognized by the Conservancy?
It's special because, you put so much effort into these things. And, we were involved, like I said, in the beginning with setting up the Conservancy. And it's just nice to see how it's grown. And, I know I've used the resources, and the support is very important when you get involved in these things. I think you always get over your head trying to get everything done right. And it's been very, very nice to be recognized for all the hard work. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet. Thank you for everything you've done. And, I saw your signature on the Conservancy's incorporation documents. So thank you so much. Safina, how's our auction going?
Our auction is going great. It's really doing well. Thank you everybody for bidding. And if you haven't started bidding yet, it's super, super simple. Get on your phones, get on your computer, ding, ding, ding. Now, we do want to highlight some of our items here. I want to start with 3 bricks. Like, only in a Conservancy would we understand how important these bricks are as symbols of our work. These bricks are from the Booth Cottage. The Booth Cottage, we know, was rescued. Wonderful story Barbara told just the other day about how the cottage was moved with the help of the Glencoe Historical Society. So these bricks really symbolize hope. And we want you to bid on these bricks. There are several lots, and we want you to bid on them. We want you to bid on hope. You can frame them when you go home. You can put satin and velvet all around them, because these bricks are our mission. They were the base of the Booth Cottage for 100 years. They really are a piece of history, but more importantly, they're a symbol of our mission. We also have, don't forget, 2 other beautiful relics of buildings, which are really about what happens if we don't save these buildings, if we aren't able to preserve them. We have a remnant of the Larkin Administration Building, and given both rescued by Pat Mahoney and donated by Pat Mahoney. And you really think about, it's really a symbol of what might happen if the Conservancy didn't do its work. And also the building, the desert fragment of the desert masonry of the Pawson House, which was salvaged by Dan Nichols. And of course, there it was fire, which was the enemy, not just human greed and stupidity, but nonetheless, we realize how threatened material things are. And so these are a symbol, but we want you to bet on those symbols. Get out and bid. I also have a prettier thing to offer you. This is one of my personal favorites. It's a Chinese wine jar. I saw some beautiful pottery maybe more beautiful than this in Henry Whiting's cottage. And you can certainly see that in this environment, in this building, it looks so beautiful. So we want you to build on this and other objects, beautiful vases, and lovely things which are in the auction, including, over to you, Lucas.
Well, I'm going to continue our trend in Asia. I'm going to go right across a little maritime passage to Japan. So first off, to our Japanese friends, konnichiwa, yokoso wa e. We really enjoyed your presentations today. It's wonderful to have you participate. So thank you for that. Here's a piece that, in my opinion, belongs to Japan. So pay attention. Here we have a beautiful set from the Imperial Hotel, a creamer and a sugar bowl. Gorgeous, gorgeous. It's a Bing and Grandel design. It has the logo of Imperial Hotel on it. And as I said, it's a wonderful symbol of a long gone by era. So please.
And they're donated by George Mayer, who always has the most exquisite things. I don't know how he does it.
He always does.
He was a former chair of the auction committee. So if you know that if George donates something, it's a gem.
Absolutely. No question there. It does inspire a bit of a haiku here. A master shadow, the Imperial is gone, 2 iris blossoms. So go in bid. It's a wonderful treasure to own.
Did you make that up?
Yes, I did. Oh my God.
Lucas should have wine more often. He has Imperial Hotel, Frank Lloyd Wright, Building Conservancy, auction, haikus.
All right. Why don't we continue, my dear?
You want me to stop making fun of you?
Yes, please.
Okay, so here what we have is a beautiful, these are tiles, these are Matawi tiles of, and we did have pictures of them in the auction, but they don't do it justice. They are really, the colors are so rich. The whole, these are really beautiful patterns. They're based on Frank Lloyd Wright's designs. And the oak framing, which we just sort of mentioned, really, sometimes the frame is also in itself a beautiful piece and pays tribute and frames it beautifully. I love these tiles.
And it creates a gorgeous collection. I mean, I think one tile by itself is beautiful, but just putting the 3 of them together makes such a statement. It's beautiful harmony.
So
I like it very much.
Are you bidding on it for me, darling?
I would be bidding on this particular piece. This particular piece was donated by Edith Payne. This is a masterful sketch by Ryusei Tanaka, one of Japan's foremost artists in this etch and print method here. This is the Honen In Temple in Kyoto. I spent some time of my early life in Japan, and that was one of my favorite temples. It's wonderfully peaceful, and it sort of symbolizes to me a lot of the Buddhist thinking of Japan. Anyway, it's an absolutely gorgeous print. Tanaka-san is very, very famous in Japan. I first saw some of his work at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. It's part of the collection at MoMA. These prints usually go for anywhere between $500 to $1,000. So it's an absolutely marvelous, beautiful piece with an archival framing. I will be bidding on this piece, my dear.
Well, I must say, Edith has done a beautiful job framing it. It's really elegant, as you might expect from Edith. And I'm going to go over to my favorite. And this is Frank Lloyd Wright at Risley House by Pedro Gruero, who needs no introduction to any of you in the Conservancy, and is donated by Dixie Gruero and Edward Seller Art and Architecture. They've certified that it's a limited edition print. It's an original silver gelatin print, and it's signed by Pedro Gruero. I mean, this is a really, and it's such a special moment, the kind of moment only that photographer could have captured. It's a really beautiful, beautiful moment, beautiful piece. And I seem to remember that we saw it in Roland Weasley's house.
Yes, I think we did.
We were privileged enough to have dinner with Roland. I mean, Roland, and one of his dinners is actually in the auction. And having dinner with Roland in Weasley house. I mean, Roland himself is just amazing. The Weasleys are so generous in sharing their deep, deep lived understanding of Wright. So bid on that too.
It is an absolutely highlight of our journey so far in the Wright community. Roland, it's still something that stands out in my mind is what a gem, what a wonderful experience. So if you have an opportunity to bid on it, please do. You will not regret it.
Oh, and by the way, they are real, they have served beautiful dinner and they have an excellent selection of wine. And what do we have in our last table here is our most treasured, ta-da.
So as you might have gotten from some of the earlier work, I'm a big model builder. I build homes. I was a structural engineer. I built models of homes and houses. But this one here is just absolutely outstanding. The Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation at one point in time considered to produce Frank Lloyd Wright inspired furniture. And a very talented woodworker called Joe Ilnick went ahead and submitted prototypes for the different furnitures. These are pieces of furniture from the Roby house. And I draw your attention to these pieces. They are absolutely phenomenal. Beautiful, beautiful detailed work all around. The upholstery is gorgeously done. I mean, you see the richness of the fabric, the beauty of the design. The proportions are just astonishing. They're not too small for you to enjoy the details. They're big enough to actually see what this furniture would be like, and you can almost feel yourself sitting in them. Absolutely gorgeous. Jack Holzhütter, thank you very much for making this donation, but these are absolutely beautiful pieces. The detail is phenomenal. If I may here, draw your attention to some of the detail here on the side of this chair. Gorgeous, gorgeous pieces. They could be the highlight of any Frank Lloyd Wright collection, including ours.
Aha, the modeler speaks. Now I might let you into a little secret. Jack has more of these. Bid high and start your collection. We are going to beg Jack to produce the next pieces at the next auction, and you want the whole set.
No pressure, Jack. She does that to me as well every day. So, but darling, what's hanging here?
This is what's called the butterfly chandelier. It's a copy, but it is an excellent copy. It's a copy of a Dana House chandelier by Oakbrook Esser, and it's an absolutely exquisite, if you look at it, it's an absolutely exquisite. Oh gosh, can I? Okay, it's safe, right? Because you're the engineer.
Yes, I put it up myself.
I'm not actually allowed to touch anything. I don't know why, but you can see it's really beautiful, and it really speaks to that to Frank Lloyd Wright's mastery of stained glass and design, and it's just a gem. I wanted it. Lucas says we don't have space for it, so I think he should build us space for it. I'm glad you did that, not me. If you drop it, you really
Buy it, right then and there.
So maybe it's time to not destroy any of our fabulous pieces before you can bid on them. So bid on them. Bid. Barbara, I believe we are back to you.
Hello. What can you guys not do? You're amazing. We're going to get back to the Wright Spirit Awards now. And our next set of honorees are from the public category. And this category honors organizations or individuals who have promoted Frank Lloyd Wright's works in the public arena. So let's play the video.
The Wright Spirit Award in the public category recognizes organizations who have promoted Frank Lloyd Wright's work in the public arena or have rescued a public building. For their leadership in the restoration of the Martin House, the Conservancy honors the Office of the Governor, the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation of the State of New York, and the State University of New York, University at Buffalo. Saving the Martin House might never have gotten underway had it not been for the motivating force of the late New York Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. His call to action after visiting the deteriorating site in 1991 prompted a series of events leading to the resurrection of Wright's masterwork. Following Moynihan's lead, our honorees in the public category have been instrumental in the rescue of the Martin House. The Martin House complex is comprised of the main house and a pergola that connects the main house to a conservatory and an attached carriage house. The Barton House, next to the conservatory, was designed for Martin's sister and her husband. To the west is a gardener's cottage and greenhouse. Completed in 1907, the Martin family lived in the house until 1937. The Barton House and the gardener's cottage were sold in the 30s, while the main house was taken for back taxes in 1946. In 1954, the main house was divided into apartments, and in 1962, the pergola, conservatory, and carriage house were sold and demolished. 3 apartment buildings were constructed in their place. The state's engagement with the Martin House began in 1967, when the University at Buffalo assumed ownership for use as the official residence of the university president. In the ensuing years, the university would help stabilize the structure and lay the groundwork for its restoration. Meetings between the university, the state's Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and local civic leaders led to the formation of Martin House Restoration Corporation in 1992. The corporation's mission was to restore the Martin House and operate it as an historic house museum. In 2002, the state donated the house to Martin House Restoration. Today, the university's engagement ranges from regular student visits and research on historic preservation and architectural history to co-sponsorship with the Martin House Restoration Corporation of lectures and programs that spur public debate on architecture and design. Representatives of the university hold seats on the Martin House Restoration Corporation Board of Directors. President Satish K. Tripathi is represented ex officio by Robert G. Shibley, Dean of the university's School of Architecture and Planning. Martin House now stands as a flagship New York State historic site. Public dollars account for approximately $31 million of the $52 million it took to restore the landmark. This was led by $24 million from the state of New York. In the end, the state of New York has proven that historic preservation is a driving economic catalyst and a vital function of government.
Congratulations to all the winners. Let's hear from some of our honorees.
Good evening. I'm Bob Shibley, Dean at the School of Architecture and Planning, University of Buffalo. On behalf of President Satish K. Tripathi, I'm honored to accept the Wright Spirit Award in the public category for our university. UB is proud to be part of the state of New York's decades-long leadership in the restoration of the Darwin D. Martin House in partnership with the Office of the Governor and his Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. Our stewardship of the Martin House dates back more than 50 years and is rooted in the university's deep passion for the city of Buffalo and its world-class architecture. We donated the house to the community nearly 30 years ago and today curates the Martin House archives. We also participate with the Martin House Restoration Corporation, without whom the remarkable preservation project would not have been possible. Together, the Restoration Corporation and UB foster public dialogue on the power of design and architecture and engage the university's full educational, research, and public service mission. Most importantly, this work stands as a powerful example of what's possible when a community works together to honor and preserve its history and culture. Thank you again for recognizing the broad array of people and organizations that make the Martin House and its programs such a success.
Hi, I'm New York State Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. I am so honored to accept the Wright Spirit Award on behalf of Governor Andrew Cuomo and the people of New York. You know, back in the 1990s, a few enlightened people realized the incredible potential that was lying untapped at the Darwin Martin House. These visionaries believed that if they could simply restore this one-of-a-kind property, it could be a catalyst to stimulate interest from the architectural world in this and other previously overlooked gems in Buffalo. They were right. Since its completion, it has attracted people from around the globe and finally properly showcases the brilliance of Frank Lloyd Wright in creating this masterpiece. As a native of Buffalo, I have witnessed the transformation of this site, attending countless ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings to mark each milestone in the rebirth of the Martin House. The site is now an international tourist destination. I recall when I visited the Darwin Martin House with my father, who once lived next door to Wright's stunning home, the Great Cliff on the cliffs of Lake Erie. Standing with us in line was a Japanese family. My father proudly told them that he had recently visited the school in Japan known as the House of Tomorrow. The parents in line told us that their children actually attended that school, and they brought them all the way to Buffalo to see in person another one of Wright's most celebrated works. The international connection between Buffalo and Wright's other works around the country and the globe was already occurring. Governor Cuomo and the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation recognized this jewel and invested over $30 million to restore a property Wright once called his opus. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who I worked for as a young staffer, would talk about this as a national treasure. People like Executive Director Mary Roberts and the teams of architects also being honored tonight are part of a beautiful story of belief and renewal. I am so proud to represent my state in accepting this award. Thank you.
That was wonderful. And we look forward to coming to Buffalo, if not next October, soon. So can't wait to see it. Congratulations to everyone in our public category. Our next set of honorees are from the professional category. And this category honors organizations or individuals who have advanced the knowledge and increased the appreciation of the work of Frank Lloyd Wright through design, scholarly, or endeavors. So let's see the video.
The Wright Spirit Award in the professional category honors those who, through architectural, scholarly, or other endeavors, have increased the appreciation of the work of Frank Lloyd Wright. In 1992, Buffalo-based HHL Architects was selected to restore the roof of Martin House. When that work was completed in 1997, the firm was formally engaged to commence a multi-phased, multi-million-dollar restoration and reconstruction effort to bring the entire campus back to its historic 1907 condition. HHL Architects continues to function as the restoration architect for the Martin House, overseeing maintenance, repairs, and improvements to the complex. HHL Architects' comprehensive research included not only studying original drawings by Wright, but also correspondence between Wright, Martin, and contractor O.S. Lang. This correspondence proved critical in the repair, restoration, and recreation of the original building elements. The restoration of Martin House itself required 5 phases to complete. The roof restoration was phase 1, immediately followed by phase 2, the foundation restoration. Phase 3, acquisition and demolition of the non-historic apartments, followed by the reconstruction of the pergola, conservatory, and carriage house. The main house exterior restoration was phase 4, and the main house's interior restoration, completed in 2019, was phase 5. The Martin House was restored in 2 phases. Roof repair was completed in 1996, and restoration of the interiors was completed in 2018. Artifact restoration and the repair and recreation of the approximately 400 art glass windows have been a continuous effort since 1992. Images of the Martin House interior over time speak more eloquently than words to describe the success of the house's restoration. For their firm's commitment to the restoration of the Martin House over the last 28 years, the Conservancy is pleased to present the Wright Spirit Award in the professional category to HHL Architects. Restoration of the Martin House landscape has revealed that the property is home to one of the most extensive landscapes ever conceived by Wright's office. Bayer Landscape Architects oversaw the 6-year rehabilitation of this historic landscape, which was completed in 2019. Landscape rehabilitation began with extensive research brought together in a cultural landscape report. The report provided recommendations for rehabilitating the historic landscape, a landscape that had deteriorated to the point of virtual non-existence at the start of the project. That project's goal was to restore the visual and spatial character of the original landscape. Among the landscape's special features was the floricycle, a semicircular design composed of plantings arranged to create a pattern of bloom from March through November. Other components of the restoration included disease-resistant American elms, a drainage system to accommodate garden group tours, and iron trellises along the pergola to support offspring of the original wisteria vines. Bayer Landscape Architecture administered the nearly 2-year construction and planting process and continues to monitor the landscape. The nearly 6-year rehabilitation has resulted in a property that now, for the first time in over 8 decades, captures Wright's vision, a vision where the buildings and the landscape are fully integrated. The Conservancy honors Bayer Landscape Architecture for their direction of the restoration of the Martin House landscape, which has returned this component of the complex's plan to its rightful position as an integral element of the property's design. In early 2002, Martin House Restoration organized an international competition inviting 5 young architects to submit proposals for a new Martin House Visitors Center. Among the invited architects was Toshiko Mori. Her design for what would become the Great Batch Pavilion is an elegant complement to the Martin House that stands on its own as a striking example of modern architecture. Groundbreaking for the pavilion was in January 2008, and it was completed in February 2009. The Great Batch Pavilion's design converses with the Martin House through a strategy of contrast rather than imitation. Mori believes that the discipline of architecture must inevitably contend with history and sight. These forces are both fundamental and universal. The pavilion is an integral part of the Historic House Museum experience, welcoming over 42,000 guests last year. According to Mori, the Visitor Center reinterprets the Martin House to expose the structural, infrastructural, and programmatic relationships of the historic building, while continuing Wright's lifelong interest in innovation through the exploration of new materials, technologies, and techniques. The Conservancy is pleased to honor Toshiko Mori's creative yet sensitive reinterpretation of Wright's architecture in her design of the Martin House Visitor Center.
Hi everybody, Matthew Meyer here, Managing Partner of HHL Architects. On behalf of my partner Ken Ryder and our founding partner Ted Lowney, who is no longer with us, I'd like to thank you for this recognition. We're so proud. Ted would have been ecstatic with the recognition we're receiving, especially from the Frank Lloyd Wright Conservancy. This Spirit Award really means something important to us, and we truly appreciate it. We want to thank all of our team members, our consultants, the contractors, and everyone who participated over the last 30 years to bring this beautiful building back to life. Come to Buffalo as soon as you can to see it. Thank you again.
Hi, I'm Mark Bayer, Principal of Bayer Landscape Architecture in Rochester, New York. I'm here with Josh Raymore. Josh is a Senior Project Manager with the firm. We're absolutely thrilled to receive this award, the 2020 Wright Spirit Award, for the rehabilitation of the Frank Lloyd Wright's Darwin Martin House landscape. It's a project that we've worked very hard on and something we're very proud of. It was over 6 years in the making, beginning with the Cultural Landscape Report, and we followed the project right through to the last details of the implementation phase. The amazing thing for us is now, for the first time in over 80 years, seeing the full integration of the buildings and grounds as Wright envisioned them from the very beginning.
As Mark said, we're truly honored and grateful to have been part of the project. I want to give a special thank you to Mary Roberts, the Executive Director of the Martin House, and her whole team. It was truly a pleasure working with you all. And again, thank you to the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy for this special award.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay now. Sorry about that. Thanks for all your patience on all this technology this week. Well, congratulations to all of our award winners. I'd like to actually thank and acknowledge J. Charles Crystal for producing and donating the awards, and to Susan Jacob Lockhart for designing the crystal pieces. The last video honorees actually had the special crystal award right there in front of them that you saw in their last acceptance video. So thank you so much. This is the last call to buy raffle tickets. So if you want to go to Buffalo and see go to our conference next year, or hopefully, soon, you would see the Darwin Martin House. So please take advantage of that. Finally, our next set of honorees are from the Special Honors category. And this category honors individuals and organizations who have advanced the knowledge and increased the appreciation of the work of Frank Lloyd Wright.
The Special Honors category recognizes outstanding individuals or organizations whose work represents a unique contribution to the preservation of the legacy of Frank Lloyd Wright. In 1968, 7 original art glass windows designed by Wright for the Martin House complex in Buffalo were purchased from a dealer for the University of Victoria in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. At the time, the university's art curator felt that the University of Victoria was poised to develop a museum dedicated to the arts and crafts movement. This acquisition was seen as a fabulous addition to the university's collection. In 2016, as the Martin House was completing its restoration, representatives from the site contacted the University of Victoria to request the return of the original windows. They appealed to the university to consider that through repatriation, the Martin House could serve as a vital context for the windows. The university considered how the windows exemplified Wright's unifying principles, which integrated design elements into a harmonious scheme. For the university, the decision was clear. The return of the windows was the best way to serve the ongoing scholarly study of this architect. In July 2017, prior to the returning of the windows, the Legacy Galleries at the University of Victoria held an exhibition that celebrated the significant gift from one cultural institution to another in service of a deeper understanding of the work of Frank Lloyd Wright. Through these actions, the University of Victoria has sent a strong message about the importance of experiencing Wright's decorative work in its original environment, and has acted as a model steward by generously repatriating these windows to the setting for which they were designed. An architect in Madrid, Spain, David Romero, discovered a passion for Wright in architecture school, along with a passion for computer-generated representation. He has combined his passions to produce remarkable virtual representations of over a dozen Wright buildings, several created in collaboration with Chad Solon. What makes this work particularly noteworthy is that these buildings would be impossible to experience otherwise. These are structures that have either been lost to fire or the wrecking ball, or remain unexecuted. Romero's 3D models create images that are remarkable in their detail, authenticity, and lifelike quality, as can be seen in his work on the Lost Larkin building with its photorealistic detail, the unexecuted Trinity Chapel, which many know only through a single rendering, is brought to life so that viewers can appreciate the chapel with its soaring, light-filled space. As Romero put it, "When I see these models finished, with the level of realism that technology allows us, I'm always surprised by Wright's overflowing imagination. Although these designs were a visionary fruit of their time, I believe that his modernity and imagination have not yet been surpassed." The Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy congratulates all of this year's honorees. Their hard work and dedication to protecting and enhancing Wright's legacy sets a worthy example for our entire community, and we hope you will join us in celebrating their achievements. To learn more about the Conservancy and our work, go to savewright.org or follow us on social media.
Wow, wonderful. Congratulations to all of our winners in the special honors category. And now we want to hear from some of our honorees.
Hello, I'm Mary Jo Hughes, the director of the University of Victoria Legacy Art Galleries in Victoria, Canada. I want to thank the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy for honoring the university with this award. We are proud to have made that decision to repatriate 7 Wright windows to the Darwin Martin House in Buffalo. While these beloved objects truly represented highlights in our collection, over time we came to appreciate the value of seeing Wright's designs in situ, where you can understand the relationships between all design elements within the specific location. We are happy to have contributed to a larger goal of conserving Wright's architectural legacy and helping to pave the way towards deeper understanding and appreciation of his work. Thank you very much.
Hello from Spain. This is an award that makes me very excited because I received it for doing something that I love to do. I want to first of all thank the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy for giving me the award. And I would like to share it with my friend Chad Solomon, as we have collaborated, created 2 virtual models, and I hope we will make more in the future. I also want to thank the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation for publishing my work in the Quarterly magazine, and I hope that my work will be of help in the diffusion of that work of Wright that is not as accessible as the building that exists. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Congratulations to all of our Wright Spirit Award winners tonight. And I also wanted to thank our Preservation Programs Manager, John Waters, for creating and writing and narrating the videos. I don't think he ever thought he would be having that kind of career. So thank you so much, John. So Safina, let's go back to you and Lucas.
You're not kicking over. And now I'm going wide. Okay.
What are you doing?
You're on.
Well, here's an opportunity for me to show off. I'm showing off my Frank Lloyd Wright socks. Very rare indeed. Well, how often have you get a chance to wear Frank Lloyd Wright socks?
Oh, are we not
can't
on
see
that?
them.
Did you see the Frank Lloyd Wright shop?
We saw them for a minute. But
I was just telling that an wonderful chance of this event is to basically dress up and celebrate Frank Lloyd Wright. I have my Frank Lloyd Wright bow tie. I have my Frank Lloyd Wright socks. And it's very enjoyable. It's all about experiences.
I have my Frank Lloyd Wright fan. He's a permanent accessory. Okay, now this is our last chance. Have we drawn the raffle yet? Is it 8 p.m. Central?
2 minutes.
Just 2
2
minutes.
minutes to 8 p.m. Central. Buy those raffles because you get a ticket to next
year's conference in Buffalo, New York.
We hope. Anyway, it'll be the next in-person conference. It's a great first prize.
Knock on wood.
And you get a package. If you win second prize, you still get a package of the bricks from the Booth Cottage, and the Glencoe Historical Society has donated a whole swag bag. Check it out. It's a whole swag bag. It's got a bunch of stuff in it. It's got coasters.
Don't check it out. Buy your raffle tickets. If you want to get raffle tickets, do it now. We let you be. We let you go. It's okay. You're not that entertaining. Get that raffle ticket. All right, my darling. Talking about experiences, I was just saying how wonderful experiences are like these here. Wear my socks, wear my bow tie. But there are many other experiences we can talk about. What are some of the marvelous things people could bid on?
Well, that's both been the wonderful thing we've always, enjoyed at the Conservancy events and at the conference is actually experiencing the spaces. That's not been possible this time around, except virtually. And sometimes that's been wonderful. I've loved being taken through, especially homes or buildings, to the people who are really conserving them. And it's been a marvelous, sort of really intimate view of these spaces. But there are things we are putting up at the auction where, even in these times of COVID, you can enjoy safely. Or you could have them a bit later when you feel better, more confident. So, for example, at Grey Cliff, Grey Cliff has a fantastic, have you seen the Grey Cliff offering? It's a sunset, it's sunset. You can enjoy the Grey Cliff and the way the Martins and Frank Lloyd Wright really wanted. I mean, you have wine, you have the sunset, you have the lake. I mean, that is the way to really see and experience the building. And you have 6 people, and which means you can be in your safe little pod and you can still enjoy this experience. So that's one of my top ones at the moment.
Well, I'm going to continue, Safina, with another experience, but sticking to Buffalo, New York. I don't know whether you knew this, but after Chicago, Buffalo has the most Frank Lloyd Wright buildings, a total of 7 that you could visit. And for me, the gem is the Martins house, the original city house, not just Gray's Cliff, which was their summer home. But the Martins house is absolutely spectacular, and by many considered to be the pearl, the crown of achievement of Frank Lloyd Wright in his early years. An absolutely amazing building, well worth it, especially because you, and this is the unique part, don't only get a tour, but you get to stay in the gardener's cottage.
Which is very, very unusual. It's not usually available. It's really special. And imagine, maybe the conference happens, we hope it happens, we're planning for it to happen, and you could be staying at that cottage during the conference. It's just like...
Nothing cooler, nothing more outlandish than that. And there is the famous glass house that connects the cottage to the main building. And as Frank Lloyd Wright said to Mr. Martin, you could go ahead and put a bit of architecture on it before Martin decided to not spend the money and just go ahead and get a glass house instead. But maybe you can go ahead and be inspired and draw up what you might think a Usonian or a Frank Lloyd Wright design for the glass house would have been. Anyway, it's an incredible, enjoyable event. Combining Grey Cliff and the Martins house would be a fantastic experience in Buffalo, New York, maybe in conjunction with next year's conference. Absolutely right. Fantastic idea.
I have another little cottage experience, which actually people are bidding on. So it's very competitive right now. It's the Seth Peterson cottage. Not only is it a gorgeous gem, but it's really a testimony to what preservation can do when preservation can do it right. So Seth Peterson cottage, definitely one of those gems. You can escape from everyone, and God, do we need to escape from each other nowadays? We really do. So private little holiday in the Seth Peterson cottage.
Nothing like it. Although I, as a guy, I prefer the Price Tower. Nothing like the Price Tower, because we all know size matters. And it is a gorgeous, gorgeous building in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. You get the royal treatment. You stay at the Price Tower. You get to see the entire building, the Don Golf Suite. You're going to get to see the basement. It's going to be marvelous. And if you want to take a romantic date on something truly spectacular, and if any chance at all to get to Oklahoma, that would be the place to go. Nothing like it. Charming, beautiful, and absolutely unique.
So do we actually get to go to the office, right? To Mr. Price's special private space? I think so. I think have a look at the listing, because it's full of little treats like that. Wine.
Yeah, Don Goff Suite. Yes, that's the suite you're going to get to see. So it's a fantastic opportunity to see Frank Lloyd Wright's only skyscraper. You guys have all seen the pictures in MoMA about the super high, mile-high skyscraper we wanted to build. The design principles are implemented at the Price Tower as well. So it's just a marvelous engineering work to see. But enough about experiences. Let's talk about one of the categories that we as people that are going through restoration are very fond of and take advantage of.
Well, this is the first time we have really offered a whole lot of this kind of category, and this is architectural consultantship. And we really advocated for it because we were like, oh my God, every time we've had an architect chime in and help us, it's been such a valuable addition to what we're doing. We always take notes, and sometimes it's like, what, 2 years down the track, 3 years down the track, we open those notes and we say, oh my God, he was so right. Or, oh my God, did she get it right or what? So this is really worth bidding on. And we've got
actually, my darling, let me correct that. Because architects are not equal to architects. There are lots of architects we talk to as part of this project, and then are the Conservancy architects. Because to be honest, people like Larry, like Tim, I mean, these are the kind of people that really understand us, whether it's Gunny. I mean, when you talk to them, you get a chance to talk to them over dinner during the conference. That's when you get the real rundown, the real details. I mean, we putting in glass into our blocks right now, and we couldn't have done it without Larry's advice on how to use sand and grout and everything else to make them look as if their glass is literally melded into the concrete blocks. We couldn't have done this if Larry hadn't been here giving us that piece of advice.
So we have John Eifler, who's beautifully restored home we had the pleasure of viewing and experiencing at this conference. We have Thomas Gunny Harborough, the legend, whose Unity Temple, again, we looked at, whose work on Unity Temple we looked at is also part of the conference. Tim Quigley, who organized the conference. You could have a consultancy with him. Carol Yetkin, landscape architecture. We've really heard so much from people for whom the landscape is really, really key. And certainly it was for Wright. Douglas Gilbert, phenomenal portfolio. And Dan Nichols, whose advice, again, we have personally benefited from. So bid on these people's time. It is absolutely precious.
Yeah, and don't think that just taking an hour and a half of their time isn't worth it. If you have a clear problem or clear vision of what you want to do, their feedback, because it's so based on experience relevant to our buildings, is absolutely spot on. You get more out of 1 hour with one of these guys than we get out of a month of work with other architects or other engineering firms. So highly recommend it. It's a wonderful experience. It's an easy check-in point for all the key decisions you might be making. Well worth it.
Okay, so we are ready to wrap up. Are we back on camera? Are we back?
Yes,
we are.
You're not yet gone.
Okay.
Darling, before we
Yes.
wrap up, Chuck started the evening with libations. I would personally like to extend congratulations to all the award winners. You guys are inspiring us to do the same, inspiring to follow in your footsteps. So thank you so much for the leadership, the spiritual leadership, the leadership in the preservation that you guys are doing, and how you fulfill the mission of the Conservancy is truly inspiring. So thank you very much. Why don't you raise a glass to all the award winners?
To all the award winners for preserving that most important ingredient, the right spirit. Cheers.
Cheers.
And
cheers to all the Wright Spirit Awards.
Another 20 minutes.
Hold on, a little bit more than 20 minutes.
Half an hour? Baby. Bidding.
Chuck.
Okay,
All right,
so
going back to Chuck.
cheers over to Safina and Lucas. Thank you so much for organizing such an amazing auction. And thank you to all who donated so many wonderful, unique items to the auction this year. And a big round of applause to Safina and the rest of the auction committee. Michael Bridgman, Jack Holstetter, George Meyer, and Zachary Matthews. Thanks for putting together what promises to be a very successful event. Okay, so drum roll please. It's time to announce the winner of the raffle drawing. The drawing is for one full registration for one person in the Conservancy's next in-person conference, tentatively scheduled for October 13th through 17th in Buffalo, New York. And I am supposed to be being informed of the raffle winner, but I suppose that Scott is going to put it up on it's in the chat, it says. I don't get the chat. So this is a little bit embarrassing. So I don't know. Where is the chat and what I see? Okay, thank you. It's now Nelson Bracken. So congratulations to Nelson Bracken he gets a free ticket to the conference whenever we get to hold it, but hopefully next October in Buffalo, New York. Then the next winner is for a Ultimate History Package donated by the Glencoe Historical Society. And the winner there is Linda Eels. Yay, Linda! Congratulations to you. So that's all. That's wonderful. Congratulations to the winners. So now that concludes tonight's event. Thank all of you for joining us, and we hope to see you next year in Buffalo. But wait, don't forget, the auction closes at 9 p.m. Central Time, and I'll be bidding too. So you still have time to secure your bids. Good night, and thank you all for a wonderful conference.